project that I'm going to talk about later from the Exploratorium, and a couple other resources that might be useful for folks. The next one are the video. We're going to do an activity, and I decided that I wanted to make sure you had a link to the media that I'll share with you, so you can look at that after, as well as the organization, one of the organizations that I also work with, which is called Cabaret Mechanical in the UK. Going a little bit further over, this is where we're going to share, and these are some of the things that we made, and I'm talking obliquely because we're going to be doing that in a little bit. So the Padlet is this place where you can add to it. I don't know if anybody clicked on that link and saw is that link working for folks?
For me.
Oh, the link works. Great. Thanks. Thank you, Sarah. So anyone who decides that they want to add on to here, if you want to experiment a little bit, and as you get a better understanding of what these columns are for, you may have some materials to share. All you have to do is click on the plus sign at the bottom, and that plus sign will pop out a little area where you can add to. My most useful part of this is that I can just click on links and then it builds a little preview. So that's how you use the Padlet. And I'll take us out of that and stop. Yes, Leah, I will. So I'll stop the share. So as I've been doing facilitated workshops, what I have been doing is talking like this, working with materials on my desktop, but also you'll want to talk about places or things that you may want people to share. And so the Padlet is this great record of your workshop. It also can hold your resources. And the other thing that I really love about the Padlet is that as we do the activity, if you have a phone or if you have your computer and you have the ability to take a picture, you actually can share the work that you do back on the Padlet. So I had a little area where I'd already shared a couple things. So that is some of where I'm at. And I did want to go back in and talk about, let's see where it is. No, I think we're going to jump right into the next activity. So the next activity is, actually, it will be helpful to look at that. I'm going to share the screen back to the Padlet. And I'm going to go over on the Padlet to activities and websites and look at the Tinkering Studio. Now, did you see, as I'm doing this, I tried this, but I want to make sure. Did you see the Tinkering Studio? Did you see a new website load in your screen? And you can just nod. And I'll be able to tell. Great. So this is the Exploratorium's Tinkering Studio, and they're the group that I did the residency with, but they have been making some of my favorite experiences during COVID as activity experiences to share with folks at home. And so they've done a number of these workshops. And as you look at this scene, and anybody who's on the Padlet, you can also just click at it and look at it. But I just wanted to go through and show you some of the materials. So they basically do an introduction to an activity. The focus is on using things that are at hand. The focus is trying to figure out what might have people interact with phenomena. And it's really centers on doing process-based things and experimentation. Perhaps you'll end up with something really kind of beautiful or amazing, but the focus is really learning something. This is automata, and automata are little cardboard sculptures that you build. I just did a workshop about these with the Cabaret Mechanical in the United Kingdom. So each one of these sections is a set of activities that they have done all the materials for. There's a little bit of video in there, and they really, I think, are doing a beautiful job at kind of sharing materials and showing empathy for people in their household. and not asking people to get materials or things that they can't necessarily support. They have digital works as well. Drawing with Turtle Art is an application that's all online, which you can create really beautiful designs, and it focuses on coding. I don't know if at your libraries, if there are ever opportunities to explore coding, but this is coding that's expressive, which is different than making lights turn on and off. And on here they have an activity called Making Faces, and we just experimented with this, and I really loved this activity. And in this activity, it's really just getting a few gathered materials, inspiring what you might do with those materials, and then building something and sharing something, and doing this all together online. So this is this to me is really a nice use of combining activities with Zoom and doing it in a way that you could actually quickly gather it. So I'm going to share a video. And one of the things that I've been experiencing is that we've done a number of workshops where we have a guest artist. And when you have a guest artist, you get to go away and look in their world. And so I don't have that artist today, but I have a video that the artist did that I want to share as an introduction to this activity. And we'll get it up and running right now. Hopefully you'll see my screen.
I'm a guy who plays with objects, I guess. I have been creating with objects for the last 25 years. I basically draw with objects because I can't draw. I don't know how to draw. I'm not very good at it. And failing in traditional drawing has been the biggest source of creativity for me. That drove me to look for other ways of doing things, to question all the assumptions on how a portrait should be. And that led me to find my own way of doing portraits. I was drawing a portrait of Saddam Hussein, and it just wasn't happening for me. And then suddenly I saw this box of matches, and I said, how about I put the matches as the mustache? A big part of being creative is to challenge all the assumptions. You allow yourself to ask the simple childish question, why does it have to be that way? Maybe it can be another way. There is a lot of inspiration in the process itself. To start the process with failure, to allow yourself to fail. But once you are there, the failures lead to success. I was commissioned by Rolling Stone magazine to make a portrait of Homer Simpson. And I couldn't come up with good ideas. I was drawing little sketches, I didn't like them, and I kept throwing them to the garbage can in my studio. And then I looked at the garbage can in the studio, and it just looked exactly like the mouth of Homer Simpson. Happy accidents are, in a way, the greatest gift to any creative person. They're there all the time, and most people don't see them. And you need to train yourself to see them. For me, creativity is definitely about not to do things always the same way. Creativity is about challenging the preconceptions of how things should be.
I love that video. So having an artist is really, I think, really great. And the idea here that we're going to try, I sent out a list to everyone. And what we're going to do is we're going to try and make our own faces. And you'll have time to go and gather if you didn't gather anything before. But again, another part of this is as we're working, if it's possible for folks to turn on their cameras, those who can, it would be great. If you can have your camera on, you don't have to have your sound on. But what I'm going to invite folks to do, and this is thinking about how do you facilitate and how do you facilitate and share the doing and taking risks. And so you may or may not have a setup where you can do this, but if it's possible to take your computer or your camera and tilt it down a little bit to show your work area, I'm going to show how I can do that. And I'm going to disappear, but I am going to show some paper, and I'll talk about a different way to do this after. So you can't see me unless I put my face way down here, but here I am. And what I'm going to ask folks to do is we'll spend a little bit of time just gathering materials and getting those materials together. And these are some things that I just had around my house, and I'm going to talk about them. If you're listening and you want to stand up and you grab your stuff, that would be great. If it is at all possible to do this and share what you're working on, that would be fantastic. And I'll just describe what I have here, and then we'll stop. And I'm going to put on some music, and I'm going to let people start to compose a face. And the big idea behind the face, I'm going to tilt my camera back up for a second. The big idea of this is that doing a portrait, you can use, well, I can hold this up. So this is a dahlia tuber. And I'm going to do a portrait of my wife, because I don't know if you know about dahlias, but dahlias, you have to dig out of the ground in the fall, and you have to take care of all winter. And then you have to very carefully nurture them and put them under grow lights. There's all this work that I didn't know happens with these dahlias. Like, we babysit dahlias year round and then put them in the ground. So I kind of think this might be her nose. I don't know if she's going to appreciate that. But in other words, if there's some materials you have that relate to someone or give you an idea about doing that portrait, you can start to think about that as well. So I'll tilt my camera back down, and I'll just talk about a couple more things I have on my desk. As you get yours together, then I'll stop talking. I'll put on a little music, and then we'll spend time, and then I'm going to tilt my camera up so I can see the screen, so I can see you guys as you're working, and then we'll build our portraits, and then we'll take a little bit of time, if people are okay with that, sharing our portraits at the end. So I'll talk and you can get yourself set. These, of course, are wind-up sushis that walk across the table. I have some sticks. I have some wire. I got some wire or whatever kind of material because I want to have lines. I want to create lines. So I needed a material for lines. The sticks will make lines too, but they also make good eyebrows. The dice, I don't know yet. These are little packages of T-balls. And then I grew up in Duluth on Lake Superior. So I have a whole bunch of Lake Superior pebbles and rocks that I'm going to play with. And I was just in a Middle Eastern grocery store, and these are what is it called? Anise seeds, and they're candy coated. So I thought these might make really kind of beautiful texture. And if you have some paper, whatever that paper is, you can use that to frame the shape of your person. So why don't we go ahead and get started? We'll spend a little bit of time composing and then a little bit of time sharing. And I'll get some music going too. And I am a believer in having soundtracks while you do workshops. The only thing that's hard with doing soundtracks is that I use Spotify, but I don't have paid Spotify, so I get commercials. So on a workshop like this, in the middle of it, while I played music, we would get a commercial, and that would be sad. So I'm going to try to just play some samba music that's on my computer. Where is it sharing? Hopefully it's gonna play.
É melhor ser alegre que ser triste. Alegria é melhor coisa que existe. É assim como a luz no coração. Mas pra fazer um samba com beleza é preciso um bocado de tristeza. É preciso um bocado de tristeza. Senão não se faz um samba, não.
I'm not sure you can hear me over the music, but it's also interesting to look at the screen while you're doing it. I'm noticing that I'm building my face so it looks at the screen and not towards me.
Porque o samba é a tristeza que balança. A tristeza tem sempre uma esperança. A tristeza tem sempre uma esperança de um dia não ser mais triste, não. Põe um pouco de amor numa cadência e vai ver que ninguém no mundo vence a beleza que tem um samba, não. Porque o samba nasceu lá na Bahia. Se hoje ele é branco na poesia, se hoje ele é branco na poesia, ele é negro demais no coração. É melhor ser alegre que ser triste. Alegria é melhor coisa que existe. É assim como a luz no coração. Põe um pouco de amor numa cadência e vai ver que ninguém no mundo vence a beleza que tem um samba, não. Porque o samba nasceu lá na Bahia. Se hoje ele é branco na poesia, se hoje ele é branco na poesia, ele é negro demais no coração.
So I was seeing a lot of fantastic Images. Heidi, I'm not sure what that material is. It looks like netting.
It is netting. It's from our fairy garden material.
Oh, that's really nice. And then I'm gonna say this wrong, but on the person who has Kedem, there's some fabric. It looks like just a bolt of fabric but the way the fabric is, it looks like it's strands.
Yeah, it's a failed crocheted scarf.
It doesn't look like a fail right now. Thank you. Yeah, I think I'm really attracted to the use of different materials for hair. I wasn't even thinking about hair, and I don't think my wife would appreciate that. And then Violetta, yours is really, it looks like you have, if I'm understanding that right, you have a body with that too. You have a head and shoulders.
I do. It's a person holding a bouquet of flowers.
Oh, wow. Thank you. So one of the things about this activity that I've been really liking is I have a lot of friends who don't proclaim to be artists, and I work really hard to find activities that they might do that might kind of open the door for them a little bit, just to try stuff. And you know, early on, I learned that I got a lot of praise for drawing things accurately, and as an artist, I think that becomes the bar for folks to draw, and instead of just kind of continuing to explore, they may stop. Let's see, I see paperclip eyelashes on Paula's. And Z has, I like how you're building it out of just shapes. It's getting kind of connected together with, they look like bottle caps, as far as I can tell. And Annie, is that pasta?
It is.
Is it soft pasta?
No, it's uncooked.
Oh.
I just ran to the cupboard because my daughter collected my supplies for me today because I sent her
Oh.
and she gave me this button with a heart in it, and it looks like a nose. And then I thought it was like a dog's nose. So I was trying to make my dog, because he's very curly.
Oh,
So the
nice.
pasta is his fur.
Thanks. All right, so I'm going to stop the music or quiet it down. Hopefully you're okay with samba. Hopefully the sound came through, and pull my screen back together here so I can see you all. I have two screens, and that let me move over so that I did, as I had my camera pointed down. We're now going to, and this is something that you'll have to make your own decision about. You know, do you let people continue to work? Now we have some folks who don't have cameras, video cameras on. It's possible that you don't have the ability to share live, but if you do have a image, or you've constructed something and you have the ability to take a picture, you could post it on our Padlet and share there. I'm going to stop us now, and you can actually continue to work if you want to. I'm going to move on to the next section that I wanted to talk about, and that and we had I had said that we could take a little bio break as well. So I think what we'll do is we'll take a, let's see, yeah, we're good on that. Actually, do folks know how to raise their hand? I want to see if people want a break right now, because I'm going to jump into the next section. And you can do it using reactions, or you can just put your hand up in the air, or you can turn your camera. I just want to see if folks would like to take a quick break here and stand up and stretch a little bit. I think that would be good if you'd like to do that. We can just take a couple minutes, and then I'm going to jump back into my presentation. Is that okay with folks? I see a thumbs up. I see a party hat upside down. I'm going to take that as a yes. So go ahead, come back in about 2 minutes, if you don't mind. If you just have to stand up, I will be a model. I'm going to stand up and step back away from my computer. And then I'll be back on and we'll go ahead. But standing up and stretching is really good for you. I'm a strong believer in that. So take a break if you can, and we'll take a couple minutes. Oh, there's someone in the waiting room. Okay. Amber. Okay, I'm back in my chair. We'll just get started back in just a couple minutes. I want to thank Heidi for posting to the Padlet. I'm going to share my screen and show Heidi's. And I think it's showing. So on the Padlet, Heidi was able to post this picture of her face. I think if I click on it, it will show up in the center. Hopefully you can see that. So thanks for doing that, Heidi. That's a really great example of how when you're doing these kinds of activities, even if you're the person who's participating is constrained, it's possible to go ahead and give them the opportunity to share. And creating things like, or using things like Padlet allows you to do that. I had posted earlier photographs that I just did. You can actually use a little Padlet app and use your phone, and as you're doing things, you could just take pictures. So I really appreciate that. Thank you. All right, so the next thing that I'm going to talk about, and we have about 15 minutes to go through some more material. That's something that I had mentioned to Leah, and maybe that instigated the idea of sharing on this. And as I've been doing these workshops, I've been really working with a number of collaborators to be able to figure out different ways to make it easier to do this kind of hands-on work and sharing. And so one of them is a little technical, and I don't know if you've tried to do this, but I think the idea of having a second camera is a pretty big one. Now, the easiest thing to do is to go and buy another video camera for your computer. and on some tablets you can adapt. And so I have a little USB camera. It's not the highest quality, but you can get another camera and that would give you another view. The question is, how do you show what you're working on and show you at the same time? And another way that you could consider doing this is I secretly had my tablet logged in separately. And let's see if it'll show up now. And I don't know if you can see this, but one of the, I'll pin it perhaps. This is just using, I have an old Android tablet and I sent the invite to my email and downloaded it. And I actually had to create a different Zoom account, which you can create for free. And so I use this. The difficulty with this is the quality isn't so great, but it works pretty well. And it's shareable on the screen. So you can see now the problem with that presentation here, I'll turn off pin. The problem with that is that on my screen, this is a huge thing and you have to figure out something to build for it. So I went ahead and I've made all sorts of stuff. I took a cardboard box and I made a little stand because if it's pointing down, I don't know if you can see that on the screen as I'm doing this. When I had a box, it was just in shadows, but it still doesn't work very well. So I had to figure out a different way. And believe it or not, in the gaming industry, in the gaming world, people are, they're doing broadcasts. And are any of you gamers who stream as you play? Does that make sense to anybody? Or are there any gamers out there who have watched streams of people talking while they're streaming? So what's really cool is that those streamers are often young and they're often using resources that are free or accessible. So I found a really fantastic resource to use. And I think I can turn it on. In Zoom, I'm going to click on this. And I don't know, can you see that I'm up in the corner here? And that, can you see that I have this area over here live? Well, this is software. And if you use Zoom, if you there's a button to stop and start your video, but there's also a button that allows you to choose different video sources. And I apologize if I'm a little techie about this, but I think it's been really helpful. This way of doing it allows me to be able to work on a project and talk to you and look at you and kind of deliver information in a completely different way. And we know this from broadcast television and we know it from gaming culture, if you've ever seen it. And also YouTube videos, people will integrate this, but how do you do it? And how do you make it possible? And I'm going to show a little video on how to do it. I'm going to turn me back onto my face. And because we have a bit of time here. And what I decided to do is make a technical introduction, just a step-by-step introduction of how to use this free software that you can download, get a second camera, connect it, and be able to do what I just did, which is putting a face cam into some hands-on work. And so we'll watch this, and don't worry if you don't understand every detail. I have it posted so you can go back and scrub it back and get those details you might miss. But I wanted to play through it right now. So I'm going to share. Where are you? Make sure that I'm going here. I just want to make sure people can see. Can you see the screen right now? The video screen? Thank you. All right. So, right away, it's going to have sound. So if you don't hear the sound, this one's been a little flaky. Please do a thumbs down. Leah, if you could do a thumbs down, I'll try it again. All right. So hello, everyone. I am going to show you how to download and install and get started with software called OBS. It is a program that lets you combine video streams so you can have more than one video in your Zoom presentation. So first we'll download OBS. Sorry about the spelling. And it looks like it popped right up. I'll click on that. I have a Apple computer, so I'm going to click on the Apple computer. There's Windows and Linux as well. And it looks like I click here to download the actual installer. And it might take a minute or two, depending on your connection, how fast that's going to download. Now, depending on how where it is on your computer, you'll need to find that downloaded file. I'm doing this in my browser. It tells me where the file is. I'm going to double click on it to open it up. Once it's opened on Apple computer, it'll mount it on your desktop and then have you copy the program into your application folder. Now you can see that I have already done that before, but I wanted to show you how you download it. So I'm going to replace my current version of OBS and close this window and close this and clear this and go up here into my applications and look under OBS. Once you find it, it may ask you permission to open it. I'm just going to say yes. Once you have opened it, it'll look pretty close on either platform to this. And what we have here is I guess it's like a canvas, and this is where we're going to put our different video streams. Now in a Zoom call, you normally are looking at the people who you are presenting for, so your face is on there. But this software you can use to add more than one video at the same time. It's pretty amazing. So I'm going to go ahead and just get started so you can see a couple very, very simple steps to get started, and then you can learn more about this as you play with it. So you have your scene here. We need to add our first video stream. So I'll click right here for adding sources. Then we have a long list of different types of things. I only use the video. And it may have this little comment about creating a video capture device. I'm just going to go ahead and just click OK, create a new one. It'll pop up this window, and then you need to choose what video camera you have available. I have a little list of different cameras. This is the built-in camera on my computer. And there I am. Hi. And so I'll save this on. I'll click OK. And as you can see, I have now a video stream. But what I want to do that's special is I want to add another video stream, and I want to be able to have a background. And what I'm going to be doing is hands-on workshop. So behind me, I want to have just my talking head. And then behind me, I want to have the other camera that's pointed at the area on my desk. So I have two cameras. And you can do this either with a USB camera, plug it into your computer, or you can even use an old phone. There's software that will send the video from your phone to your computer. And I will be doing that now. So I'm going to add my next source. I'll click plus again, add another video capture. I'll go ahead and say yes. And now this time I have something called an Epoch Cam, and that's the software that talks to my camera. So I'll click on that. And as you can see, I have another video source. I'm going to move my hand so you can see that's my hand, and I'm grabbing this material. And I will click OK. Now I have these two videos here. And I actually want to have my face in front of this because we're going to be making my face small on the screen and then this as the background. So let's do some messing about. I should be able to move this up. I have to move that one down. And as you can see, I move the layer by just shifting these around. Next thing I'm going to do is make myself small. And you can grab the corners and you can shrink the size of your video. And I'm going to place it down, I guess, let's see, I'll put it right here. Maybe I'll have it in the middle. I did that by grabbing a handle. Now, if you hold the Option, and I'm on Apple computer, if you hold Option down, and maybe the same on Windows, I'm going to hold Option down on the keyboard, and that will crop the video. So I can make just that bit of me show up. So I'm going to push this over, and I have this stream. And then I will go ahead and open this one up, and I want this to fill the background. And now what you see is that you see me talking, and then you see my two hands, and this is material that, these are little cool little things that we made out of rubber bands and sticks. This is an activity. You can also see that where I have the camera, I won't be able to see behind it. So I'm gonna have to move my materials over, but that's not a problem. And you'll do your adjusting on here. And you can even adjust where this is. Maybe you want this, oops, it's all right. I'll grab this first. I click on it, and maybe you want it up on the top so that you have all this room down here, down by your hands where they're coming into the screen. So that right there is basically how you set it up in OBS. Now, the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and launch a new meeting in Zoom, and I'll show you how to click on that stream. I have Zoom here all ready to go. I'll click a new meeting. I always have it set up not to show video, so I'm going to click on the video source here, and I'll show FaceTime first so that you can see. I'm in Zoom now, and I want to be able to see those two videos come together. And this is Zoom, so how am I going to do that? Well, why don't I just look inside my videos and see what's there? It already has OBS virtual camera, but watch what happens when I choose that camera. It's blank, and this happened to me a couple of times. So I got really confused, and now if I go over to OBS, I'll just click on it in the background. Well, it seems to be there. There's a special button you have to push, and that's Start Virtual Camera. And that pushes it out to other things. So I click this. And then if I go back to the Zoom window, there I am in the Zoom window. And so just so you know, so this is Zoom, and I can be sharing it out in the world. And now I have, I don't know if you noticed that, but it also flips the video. That's important to me because I'm actually in this position, and I want to be able to reach over this direction and not have it be mirrored or backwards, so that as I'm talking to you, I'm also moving these things around. So this is a very, very fast description of how to get started with OBS. It's free. The help is just wonderful. And what I've noticed is that there's a huge gaming community that use OBS all the time to share video streams and talking heads. So it's really great. So I learned everything actually by going on YouTube and learning the little pieces that help me with this. So there you go. There's a quick intro to OBS. Thank you. And now we're back to this world. And then just to confuse you even more, here I'll go and show the same screen. So I'm back on that screen, and I just wanted to say that one more time. Someone was talking about stitching or weaving or doing very, very particular things. And what this has made it possible for me to do is to be able to show how to do technical or techniques that are harder to show if you're holding the camera, or if you're moving the camera around, or if it's a lower quality camera. So it's been great, and it's I already said it in my video earlier. It's free, and there are a number of, oops, sorry about that. Need to switch. There are a number of tools out there that you can use. I'll go right here. Let's see. I'll get the Padlet up and running, and I want to show you. On the Padlet. So on the Padlet, I'll go back here under tools. I have a link to the OBS software. You can get right to it. There's another software. I'm not sure why all the names of the software are funny. This is called and I think. And it's another software that you can use for just 60 minutes at a time for free. They don't have any other limitations. That works really great too. It has all sorts of video tutorials. And then following this, I have, I'll stop my screen sharing now. I am actually using in this, this is an old iPhone. So I'm using an iPhone, and the particular reason that I did is because my video camera is old, the USB one, the second camera I have, and it just is a terrible quality, and so I can't show detail with it, and that matters too when you're doing making and tinkering and kind of activities like that. So that's a lot of information in a little package. The point for the Padlet is that you can go back. I uploaded that video there if you want to go through it with all the links. I also have links to the software that you can download for if you want to use a phone for either Android or iPhones. So a lot of the software is there, and the hope is that we'll be able to oh, this is a great question. Violetta is asking, how do you connect your phone camera to the software? Because this, I don't know if you can see it even, I'll just undo it. I'm using the USB wire of my phone to connect, but it will also connect wirelessly. So it will work either way. So if I have a wire or not, if I have a Wi-Fi network in my house, I'll be able to use that phone. You might not have an extra phone, but I don't have the money to go buy another USB camera. And I really try hard to be able to like figure out ways to do things, effectively and cheaply without having to just buy new equipment. So it's been super useful. And I'm seeing a couple of things. So on the chat, thank you for posting those. So what we'll do is I'm going to shift in. I think my friend Michelle might be coming soon. I'll see if she is. And I wanted to talk about a new, another resource. Before the end of this session, I wanted to talk about another resource that might be useful for you as librarians. And it looks like Michelle has just gotten here. Great. Hi, Michelle. And Michelle, that's kind of absolutely perfect timing. And Michelle, we can't hear you, just so you know. Oh, there you are.
I just realized.
And I'll do a really astoundingly brief introduction. I already talked about you just a teeny tiny bit that you would be talking. But Michelle is currently working with the MIT Media Lab. She's working on a project, and that project she's going to describe connects to libraries and librarians. And there's an opportunity just next week. So I thought if I can get her on, you all can hear from her, and then maybe you'll be able to join the work that she's deeply involved in. All right, I'm going to hand it off to you, Michelle.
Fantastic. I don't want to take too much of everybody's time, but as Keith may have mentioned, I'm part of the Public Library Innovation Exchange at the MIT Media Lab. Keith and I met originally through something called the Playful Invention and Exploration Network, and this feels very much in line with that. We create activities based on MIT Media Lab research, and then we build zines that you can produce and distribute along with kits or do in workshops there on site in your libraries. And we have a full write-up of how to run the activity. And then we also do a lot of professional development around what it means to do creative learning facilitation. And so next week, we're going to start this 4-week course, all online. You didn't hear from me, but every part of it's optional. So I would just sign up for it, and then you'll be getting the emails and you'll know what you want to do and what you don't want to do. We're not taking attendance, and we're not requiring anything in particular. It's a project that was funded by IMLS because they saw the real value in having more creative learning happening in libraries as an on-ramp into STEM and STEAM activities. So what we'll be doing is we're going to be having these casual conversations on Tuesdays with people that we've recorded interviews for. Next week, we're meeting a librarian named Claudia Haynes, who has a great blog called Never Shushed. And she's, it? Awesome. I see a nodding head. She's a children's librarian in Homer, Alaska. So she has this really unusual perspective on working with a rural and remote population. The week after that, a good friend of Keith's and mine, Luigi Anzavino, is going to be our special guest, talking with one of our co-founders, Catherine McConaughey. Then we're going to talk to Tina Smith from the Queens Public Library. And the final week is another friend from this universe, Rika Rose Roque, is going to be talking with me about sharing and reflection. So 4 great weeks of those conversations, both audio only recordings that you can listen to, and then a live Q&A on Tuesday. And then on Thursdays, we're going to have a live casual, we're calling it Make and Meet, where you can sit and do some of the activities. We pick a different prompt each week to do with our Plix activities, which they're going to be space food, scratch and microbit. The third week is paper circuits, and then inflatables, which is our brand new one based on some work with the Tangible Media Group at MIT, creating kind of sort of pneumatic mechanical objects that are evocative of inflatable robots, made out of trash, basically, like Mylar chip bags.
And if you don't know what she means, I have an example. There's some Cheetos.
Thank you, Keith. You came more prepared than me.
It's the, I just found this activity, Michelle had posted and shared it, and I saw this one activity, and they make a printable, and then you cut it out and fold this out of a 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. You make a little zine, a how-to book, and it is for a maker and a facilitator. It's just like a perfect set of support materials, and they connect right to the brain of teens and artists and young people and old people. So, and I'm all those actually. So I just would highly recommend, the people that she talked to are really wonderful colleagues who are also in this business and do what we're talking about today. And Michelle's project, I think, not only is really brilliant, but it also has a support forum and a support system that I think is essential to making this work get out there and being able to share these materials. So I just wanted to get her on here. She's putting the link in the chat. And if you want to join that, that's great. I just discovered this resource through Michelle, and I just think it's been so useful and serendipitous. So this is great. So thank you so much for jumping on here.
He found out because I personally, I'm a slightly competitive person, like not in a bad way, but I like set out for myself. We're gonna hit all 50 states. So then we were missing a couple of states, so that I had to tell everybody. So there are 500 people signed up. It's really exciting, and they are from all over the world. So we hope that you will join.
And and in fact, a couple of the people, Luigi works at the Exploratorium and the Tinkering Studio, and Rika Rose is another resource for family-centered learning and workshops. So the people who are speaking are directly related to some of the materials that I've shared on the Padlet as well. So thank you so much, Michelle.
Thank you. It was so nice to meet you all in this one directional way, but maybe we could meet some more over the next 4 weeks. Bye, everybody. Thanks for the invitation, Keith. Bye.
Thank you. So hopefully that made sense to everybody. It's a resource I just discovered, and it's related to the stuff that we're working on, that I'm describing. We got in the weeds with my little technical description of how to set up a second camera, but I actually think any of you can do that. It's very, very simple. And what we did was, when Leah and I talked about this, we said we'd kind of barrage you with a lot of stuff, and then we'd set up another session that's about a week long, an hour long, that just addresses ideas that might come up. I can always bring a lot of things to share, but I wanted to be able to, if you had questions or even technical questions, like I tried to do this and it didn't work, we could work on that. But I wanted to be able to provide a time to be able to do that in the next session, or any suggestions that any folks have. I think you now have my email, and I think we've sent stuff out, so you could even send it to the emails that Leah and I have sent out for the material list. Let's see. I think that's the list of things I had to get done just within this amount of time. Thanks so much for letting me compress. And I'm happy to take any questions folks have either through voice or through the chat. If anybody has before we finish up, I like to try to stay on time. So I appreciate that. So I'll be quiet and any suggestions.
I was going to mention just a couple things from the chat. Annie shared a helpful tip that if you're new to Padlet and you create an account, you can like a Padlet, and that way you could save it for future reference that way, which isn't handy. I'm sure you are going to want to save this Padlet. And somebody asked for the sign up for the project Michelle was talking about, and that's in the chat. So you can grab that sign up out of the chat if you're interested.
And you can learn more about Plix because that's under activities websites. It goes to the full website and you can kind of browse around. That's exactly what I did. And remember how I talked about using Twitter? Well, I think it was through Michelle. She just posted a little thing. I'm like, what's this? So using those social tools is also, it's been really beneficial for making connections with folks. I don't know if anybody had any other questions or anything else they might want to share before the end here. You're all welcome to take pictures of your faces and post them to the Padlet. Heidi set the standard. So if you want to give that a shot, that would be beautiful. You can do it with your webcam. You can do it with your phone, however you'd like to do that. And for the folks who didn't have their video on, I really appreciate, it's harder. I just want to say this at the end. This is part of the process, is knowing how to do workshops and think about how do you have people collaborate or give them different avenues to collaborate where they may not have full bandwidth. And my friends have been talking about how a lot of the students at their school, they don't have the bandwidth to be able to, all they can do is say hello at the beginning for a moment and then goodbye at the end. So thinking about that, if anybody wants to turn their camera on for a second at the end and wave, that would be great. But I also want to thank everybody so much for doing art in front of us. That was great. I really appreciate that. And that's an adult taking risks, doing stuff in front of other folks. So that's really great. Okay.
I have a quick question, if that's okay. How did you turn the whiteboard on at the beginning? I've never done that before.
Yeah, I got a friend said do this and I couldn't figure it out either. It's under share screen and it depends on what computer you're using. And we did learn on this call also that the web only version of Zoom is limited in what it has available tools. My tablet has more tools than the web version, so hopefully it's there. And then the other thing about the whiteboard is that you can actually go there and draw. You can save. You can go and do things and then turn it off during the. Maybe it'll work. You can turn it off during your workshop and turn it back on, and all of the materials that you worked on will still be there. And you can create new ones too. For folks who have technology barriers, sometimes financial barriers, inclusion without shame is very important. Thank you. Thank you, Anna. That is great. I really appreciate that. And I believe that. We're right on time, so I'm going to hang out here for a little bit. And then I'll just say thank you so much for joining. Come on back to the second half if you have questions or anything else that you would like to share with us. That would be terrific. All right. Well, thanks everyone. I'm just going to stay here, so you can ask me questions if you want.
Oh,
Thank you.
hi, everybody. I'm just back with the right link. Oh.
Oh yeah, jump in. Yeah, thanks. And
Did you share? I can't see if you shared it while I was.
Yeah, because you're after. Leah managed to share it, and then I have a direct link to it as well on my
Okay,
pad.
great. Just everybody should know that the link I gave you is the one that you get after you sign up, which is really similar to the other one. I'm so sorry.
Well, I'll actually I'll send that out to everybody just
Okay,
because so they have a chance to sign up.
Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
Michelle. That's great. Thank you.
Bye.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
I think that went great. Unfortunately, I didn't remember to record for the first half an hour, as is typical for me. So we started a little late. I'm going to stop recording right now.